All right, and we are going. So just a few announcements to go over before we get started. I kind of had a list of them, just to kind of talk about like with the week to come and stuff. The first thing I want to mention is to always make sure that you are checking your qualifications in the back office. And so like checking, when you're like my Shakeology always ships on the 15th. So on the 15th, 16th, 17th, whatever, those 3 days, I should be checking and making sure that it went through and that I'm meeting qualifications for Success Club and for leads. Because I was just talking to Jill Sitzman today, and she did not catch it until like March 1st. But her Shakeology, like they canceled it, like her HD order didn't go through. So she didn't have her 90 PV. So all of those Success Club points that she earned in February just didn't count. Like she didn't hit Success Club. And so she's trying to fight it right now because like she never canceled her Shakeology, so it shouldn't be that way. But I'm like, oh, that's such a great reminder, because one time even for me, it was way back, I think in like September, October, they had canceled my BOD. And so I didn't get leads in the month of October because they had canceled my BOD for some random reason. And I could have like fought it and like made it stick and made it work, and it just wasn't worth the effort. So just make sure, especially like 5 days before the end of the month, that you are checking that to make sure. And if your Shakeology comes towards the end of the month, I would almost maybe try and change it to like the middle of the month. I've been thinking about changing mine to the beginning of the month. That way it just like it comes out within the first 5 days. I don't have to worry about it. There's enough time then if something does go wrong. So just always make sure that you are checking out that stuff. Next week I'm not sure, I kind of put on our calendar something about like a free group. Thought about something like a Shakeology group or something, but I don't know if we're gonna have enough time for that because people would have to order that like now, and I haven't done any promoting for that, and I don't think anybody else really has either. On Heather's page though, like it says something about a free clean eating group, and so I'm gonna try and find out a little bit of information about that, and so maybe we can jump in on that and kind of, I think there's like a meal plan that people can follow, and just kind of gives them, it's like a challenge group, but it's more like the meal planning side of it. So as soon as I have more details, I will share that with you in the team page. I just kind of wanted to give you a heads up. I like just posted in Heather's page right before this to see, to get any information on that and see what's going on. But I think that would start on Monday the 14th. We'll also have a coach sneak peek next week, the live event. So make sure, you maybe throw in a couple posts on coaching, and maybe try to reach out to a few of your challengers who are doing an awesome job. They're posting, reaching out to them and trying to encourage them to share this opportunity with them. And then on the lines of that too, I got an email today. Some of my coaches or my challengers, but they're signed up as discount coaches, they are not, or their business fees aren't up to date. And I think even some of my actual coaches, like their business fees weren't paid yet. So just make sure that you take care of that if you need to. And then like with your challengers, like you send them the Shakeology on reminder, HD on reminder email. And if they just cancel their Shakeology, like that's fine, but they will still show up and they will still have that $15 fee unless they cancel their entire account. And I feel like we are adults. When you cancel your Shakeology, like they email you and they say, okay, they tell you you're still going to get billed that $15 fee unless you do this, 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 and this. And so for me, I feel like as an adult, if you're not going to read that, I don't have the time or the energy to go through and say, hey, because I probably have like, I would say 10 to 12 people that are still paying $15 every month, and they haven't been getting Shakeology since probably September, October. You know what I mean? So I'm like, you're an adult. I don't have the time to sit down and message all of you and then explain to you how to do this when you got an email telling you how to do it. So I had a few questions today about that when that email came out about what they should do. If it's somebody that obviously then maybe you want to explain it to them. about, hey, like you have to send in this form if you want to cancel your whole account. But other than that, like I just kind of leave mine, and then eventually they either figure it out or they're like, what's this fee for? Or sometimes they just delay their Shakeology and then they pay for it again later too. So just wanted to kind of give you a heads up about that. Another thing I wanted to recommend, I just finished it tonight, this book called Go Pro by Eric Worre. This is something I wish that I would have read, honestly, actually before the Compound Effect. So it's all about like network marketing, and it's all about like what we do as coaches and through our messaging and inviting and posting on social media. And it was such a good book. And the whole time I was like, oh my gosh, like I wish I would have read this in my first 3 months of coaching. So if you are a newer coach, or you want something, you know, I think when we think personal development, we think of like, you are a badass, or I am that girl, or something that kind of builds your confidence. But sometimes I think too, like I've been kind of going back and forth, I think it's really important to read stuff that's going to help you build your business too, and to kind of shift your mindset into thinking of this kind of as that, from that hobby to a business. And I think that book, honestly, if you were to ask me right now what book I'd recommend, like I would say that one, because it just talks about kind of getting out of your own head, the importance of messaging. He talks about like how he started and the mistakes that he made, and how he switched his inviting process around. And after reading that, you can tell a lot of the top coaches do a lot of their training, a lot of their teaching from this book. So if you're looking for something, and it was a really easy read, like honestly, I started this Saturday, I think, and I'm already done. So like I just kept reading it. I couldn't put it down. It was just easy to go through. So honestly, that one I would probably recommend over the Compound Effect right now, if I had to choose one. The Love Yourself Fit group, that the last group that we have on Facebook right now, we will be off a week. So that group is going to end on Sunday. We will keep it open and keep posting in there for one more week. And then on the 21st, all of those challengers will roll into that challenge tracker app. So yes, they will be off a week, but we're not going to stick them in the group that just started yesterday. Let them finish out, and then we'll still post in one more week, and then they can jump in on that 21st group. So it's really not a big deal for them to wait a week. I mean, they're going to just be doing the same thing anyway. They just won't be getting a new post. So not a big deal when it comes to that. Super Saturday in the cities in Minneapolis, April 2nd. I know Christy's going. I think Aaron, you are going. I don't know if you bought your tickets and you got that email, all that stuff about Sagi and when he's going to be. I was talking to Megan a little bit about this. So Friday night, there is I think it's a meet and greet, I think is what it is, Friday night, but it's only for diamonds. And so, which, you know, like we can make it work or whatever. But that's from 7 to 9. And so I was like, oh, I don't really know. Like that's because we were thinking about going up Saturday, and then it's at 2 o'clock. So driving up Saturday morning and then staying over Saturday night and then coming back Sunday morning. Because I was like, after a long day of work with kids, like that's the last thing I really want to do is drive 4 hours. And then by the time we get there, go to bed. And then I'm like, oh, that just won't be fun. So like I kind of thought, okay, you know, leave early Saturday morning, blah, blah, blah. Well, there is a thing with Sagi on Saturday at 1 before the event. So I was like, oh, maybe if we drove up earlier, like left a little bit earlier, stood in line for a little bit, might have a better chance on that Saturday. So just kind of do some thinking about it, and we can talk about it at another time too. If you guys want to plan on like riding together, we'll just kind of get a head count and go from there. I know like my vehicle seats 5, but my grandparents' vehicle seats like 7 or 8, I think. So we can try and all pile in one vehicle and go from there. So I'm excited. There's a lot of people I think that are going. I want to say maybe like 10 or so, which is really awesome. Might even be more than that. So I'm kind of excited for that. It'll be fun. And the last announcement I had was my success partner and her coach, we're going to run a Push to Diamond group in a couple weeks. And actually the template is one that Melanie Mitchell uses. So hopefully you know who that is, but she's the top coach in all of Beachbody. So it's going to be good stuff. So she asked me if I wanted to go in and help run that with her, and so we're going to do that. It's going to start March 21st, and it'll be about 6 weeks, so it'll actually go until the end of April. It's going to be similar to the one that we just finished a couple weeks ago, and that being said, that there is a $20 fee to get into the group, so you pay $20 to get in, be a part of it. But when you hit your goal and you hit diamond, and let's say there's 2 of you that hit diamond and there's 10 people in the group, you split that pot half and half. So if you hit diamond, you're going to get your money back and then some. So yes, you pay to get into it, but you're going to get that back when you hit your goal, when you hit diamond. And to be honest, I think the more that you invest in something, I think you work harder towards it. And you know, really $20 really isn't that bad just to get that great credit. And I think honestly, for me, I think it makes me more invested and more apt to want to do well in something when I have invested in it. So just something to think about. I'll post a little bit more information as we get a little bit closer. But I think last time they did the money through PayPal, that's what we'll do again this time. So even if you just hit Emerald, you're a new coach, Diamond it's totally doable. It's just building your business, and it's finding those people that want to go with you and run with you. And you know, you need 2 people that want to coach. And if you sign up your spouse, then you only need 1 person, because you can essentially work and build their side as well. So Diamond should definitely be something that's on your radar and something you're pushing for and working towards, because that's just another way of moving that business forward and going from there. So any questions on any of those announcements or any things that are going on? I had a long list of them. All right. Kind of what I wanted to talk about tonight, or kind of go from, is I kind of, after reading that GoPro and reading a little bit more about it, he talks a lot about expanding your market. And then we talked about that in coach training. We're talking about that right now. It's something that is part of your vital behaviors when it comes to inviting. And sometimes this is the hardest part. And for me, this is one that was hard. And it really wasn't until like probably a month ago where I actually started being really consistent with expanding my market and constantly adding people. And because I would get to the point where I'd kind of go on the back burner and be like, oh, I'll just add people tomorrow. And then I never would. Or, you know, I add 5 people a day, but really I probably get 2 of those people that accept my friend request. So really, even though you're searching and you're adding so many people a day, it's kind of like when you message and you want 1 person, you send out 10 invites, then you know 1 person's going to respond. And so, you know, you send out 10 friend requests and 1 person's going to respond or whatever. So just some tips or some things that you can work on to expand that market. I usually click on that on the side of your thing when it comes up, or on the bottom when it says people you may know. I will click on that, you know, see more. I will scroll through. You know, typically I look at their picture, and if they have a picture with like a spouse or with a little one, I'm like, oh, perfect. Like, that's right up my alley. They have a baby. Like, right, that's me. So, you know, I'll look on them. And then the next thing I do is I see, okay, how many mutual friends do we have? And I try to make sure we have at least like 2 or 3. I've kind of been getting desperate lately and adding those people where we have like 2 friends in common. I'm like, oh, well, whatever. Like, but another thing I look at too is if somebody is a mutual friend with like one of you or somebody, other coaches on the team, I don't add them. I actually go over and click like delete or remove so that they don't keep popping up, because what's the point of adding somebody into my network that I'm essentially wanting to get it to join a challenge group or get to join my team if they're already friends with other coaches? And so, like, to me, that's just a waste of my time to add them and try to build a relationship with them, continue to add value into their lives if they're already friends with Heather or they're friends with Megan. what's the point? Because essentially, if they're doing their job, they should be talking and they should be building relationships with that people. Now, yes, I could add them and they could look at me and then they could look at Megan and they could say, well, and they could go and choose one or the other, but really, why would I want to put them in that situation? So when I scroll through, I always look to see like who we have mutual friends with. And yeah, if they're friends with any of you, I usually don't, unless it's somebody that I actually do know, then that's a little bit different. So I'm always looking at that and putting that into consideration as well too. Another thing that I've done, and this is like super creeper stalkerish, but I was kind of getting desperate there for a while, but I would go to like my friends, like from high school, and I would go to their friends list, and then I would look at like their college friends. So I have a bunch of friends that went to UNI. So I would go to their page, I'd click on their friends, and then their college friends, and then all their friends from UNI would pop up. And then I would scroll through, and yeah, we only had like 2 or 3 or 4 friends in common. But if they had a baby in their picture, or they had a, like an engagement picture or something like that, like I would add them. And, sometimes they would, most of the time they would respond and we would try to talk and, or whatever. But I was getting really desperate there for a while. But the nice thing about that is then, they would add me and then more of their friends would pop up, like people you may know. So yeah, I don't know these people, but I'm growing my market, I'm expanding it, and I'm building those relationships. And I constantly find that the people I may know bounces from Sheldon to Spencer to the Lakes to like Emmitsburg area. And so I'm like constantly kind of dispersing through just because I went through every once in a while and added these random people. I've done that with my friends that went to like SDSU, some friends that went to Iowa, whatever it might be. So I kind of creeped through and went through their pages and kind of found a way to find more people that we may have connections with. Another way that you can do, and I have not done this yet, but another thing you can do is you can join different groups on Facebook. So like if you're into like Christy with choir and teaching choir and those kind of things in music, if you find groups of like choir, I don't know what would be a good example, but something like that. Or like the other day I joined a Moms of Toddlers group or something because I'm like, well, I almost have a toddler, like that works. And like, again, that takes time, but you can go in there and start building relationships and commenting on people's posts, asking questions, making that engagement. And then when you find that you connect with somebody, then you shoot them a friend request, and then it's not so weird and random. Heather, actually, one of her coaches, she met through a baby wearing group on Facebook. So they met, they talked, and then they added on Facebook, and then Heather continued to build that relationship, and then she joined a challenge group, and now she's coaching. So it can happen. I just haven't had enough time to go and do that, and I haven't had the need to do that yet, to go and build more of those relationships way outside of, my market and who's around and my friends list and those kind of things. So you just always I shoot to try and add 5 people a day. Like I will go through that friends list and I will count on my fingers every time I add somebody, because I know if I'm trying to add 5 people, then I know that I'll at least get 2 or 3 that will accept my friend request. And then you want to connect with them. You want to make an impact. You want to, like, I move them all into a friends list on Facebook, and I scroll through every night. And yeah, it takes probably half an hour, but I sit on my phone right before I go to bed and I scroll through and I will like their stuff from the day, or I will comment on it. I don't comment on everything, but I try to comment, like if they have, like somebody today had a picture of her sick kid. So I commented, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm so sorry, I feel your pain. Hopefully she feels better soon, or whatever. So you can't just, yes, I like a lot of their stuff, but sometimes when you throw in those comments and you build those relationships and you show that you're a real person, you stick out in their mind a little bit too. Another thing with that also is, like with Facebook being just different, not different, but the way that they work, if you are sending people messages and then you're commenting on their stuff, your stuff shows up in their news feed more. It's that, I don't know if it's algorithm, if that's the right word to say or whatever, but the more that you show that you're actually interacting with that person, the more their stuff is going to show up. Because I don't know if you notice it, but like all the Beachbody coaches that I haven't unfollowed at this point. Like all of your guys' stuff always pops up in my newsfeed, like towards the beginning. Or, you know, even your stuff from like 8 hours ago, it always pops up because we're constantly interacting on each other's pages and sending each other messages. So Facebook is like, oh, these people must really like each other. They probably want to see their stuff. Okay, same thing when it comes to you building these connections with these people. So you're sending them a message, you're commenting on their stuff, you're liking their stuff, you're building those relationships, and then they see you. And what do they see? They see you working out. They see you being positive. They see your life. They see you, and they think, what the heck is this person doing? Like, she's lost all this weight. She's super happy. Like, she's always positive. She's got a great family, a great dog, like whatever it might be. Then they want to know about you more. And then they're watching you. And then they're going to have that one post that just clicks. And then when you invite them, then they're more open and they're more willing because they feel like they know you. Or they reach out to you because they're like, what are you doing? You know, I want to be a part of this. And so they see you, and it just continues. Does that happen with every single one? No. But you know what? If they don't like you or they don't like what you're doing, then they can easily unfollow or unfriend you. And I've had that a lot. I've had a lot of those random people I've added that unfriended me, you know, after a while. And that's okay. That's fine. If they unfriend me, then obviously it wasn't meant to be. But it's an important thing, because maybe right now you're sitting there and you're like, you know, oh, I have plenty of friends on Facebook. Like, I don't need more. And that's true. But for me, it all of a sudden got easier for me to invite these random people to a challenge group than it was once I ran out of my really, really warm market, like my really close friends. It almost became easier to get rejection from a complete stranger than it was like people I knew in high school. So eventually, at some point, you are going to want to dip into this market and continue to expand. And it's just a good routine to get into, is to adding people, talking to them, you know, building that relationship and getting to know them and those kind of things. Then I usually wait 6 weeks from that time that I first initially messaged them and added them and started to build a conversation with them, you know, asking them about their family and where they're from and building that connection through. I usually send them a message and stuff. I usually wait 6 weeks, and then I invite them, and I invite them just like I do my other ones as well. I still invite them the same way because I feel like I've been commenting and liking on their stuff that we're friends at this point. Hold up. Get away. And then if they say no, because a lot of times they do say no, I still go through and I still comment, I still like on their stuff, I still try and build that relationship, because just like everything else, they're going to come back around eventually, because they're going to continue to see your stuff and they are going to change their mind. So that's all I have for you guys. That's what I wanted to share. So hopefully that kind of helped you a little bit. I know that this is one part of the business that can be hard and it can be weird. And I guess, and I can share you kind of like the conversations, how it's been going, like what I've been sending them once I add them. I usually try to like turn it into like, I just want to introduce myself. And I actually kind of took this from Melissa. Like, I kind of took what she said and I toned it down a little bit to like my level. But I usually said something like, I just want to introduce myself. I'm not sure if we know each other, blah, blah, blah. And then I usually give them a compliment. Like if their profile picture is just of them, I usually am like, oh my gosh, like you're so gorgeous or something, or you're so pretty or something like that. Or if they have a picture of their family, I'm like, your family's so beautiful. Or if like it's an engagement picture, I'm like, oh my gosh, what an adorable picture, blah, blah, blah. And then I just leave it as, it was nice to meet you. I just wanted to say hi. Sometimes all they respond back with is thanks. And then I try to keep it going. I'm like, oh, you know, you must be from Northwest Iowa or something like that. I try to keep the conversation going. Some go better than others and some don't ever respond, and that's okay, because I just add them to that list and I keep liking and commenting on their posts and being a big part of their social media. So You guys have any questions or anything? No? Well, that's
Sorry, I was like super late. I just got home, so
okay.
our interviews went really long.
That's good though, right?
Sure.
Well, if you guys don't have any questions or anything, I can let you go.
I don't think. Oh, did we decide on what time we're leaving and stuff for that April 2nd thing? Are we deciding Saturday morning?
I talked about it a little bit, but we didn't really decide anything. I know. I don't know. What do you guys want to do?
Because like I didn't mind leaving the Saturday and coming back Sunday, but then we got the email about meeting Sagi, but you have to be Diamond to meet him, so then that kind of cuts the plans, sort of. So
We could always leave earlier-ish on Saturday and try and go to the photo op and get in line for the photo op on Saturday.
trying to see how far away it is. Is it 4 hours or is that?
Yeah,
It doesn't take that long.
not that long. And it's not in Minneapolis. I don't know what the,
Ham Lake.
Isn't it north of it?
I don't know.
Ham Lake, I think.
Oh,
Oh yeah, about